Welcome everyone to another session of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, 18 chapters in 18 weeks. And we are in our fourth week, which means we are going to look at chapter 4 overview today. And we are very happy to have our speaker, Her Grace Kirtida Sundari Mataji, who will walk us through the entire fourth chapter. And the fourth chapter is a very interesting chapter, so I'm really excited to be listening to this wonderful session. So stay tuned. Hand over the call to Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you, Preeti Vilasni Mataji. So just give me a second. I hope you all can see the screen now.
Perfect, Mataji. Very nice.
Okay.
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll start now. Bhagavad Gita as it is, 18 chapters in 18 weeks. And today is the fourth week, and we are starting with the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, before we move on to our invocation prayers, I'll just want to tell you something about this. This chapter actually is entitled Transcendental Knowledge. Okay, so this chapter 4th is Transcendental Knowledge. So what actually is the meaning of transcendental, right? So Krishna wants to impart this transcendental knowledge to Arjuna, not only for Arjuna, but for the benefit of all of us. So what is the meaning of this transcendental? So transcendental means something which is beyond our ordinary limitations and which is beyond on our everyday experience, right? So the word used, this word is oftenly used to describe a spiritual state, which is beyond the physical realities. So in other words, what this chapter deals in, we'll just see into it, but moreover, it will deal into such a knowledge, such spiritual knowledge, and who is eligible to have it, and how we can perceive it. And when we perceive it, what happens next? What's the result of having this transcendental knowledge? So this is a very, very exciting chapter. And let's make it more interesting. And of course, with all your presence, I hope I get more enthusiasm to speak about it. So without further ado, let's start about this transcendental knowledge, or in other words, we can say the spiritual knowledge. Okay, so let's, we can say some invocation prayers for auspiciousness. And not only for auspiciousness, but we recite these wonderful prayers to seek mercy, to seek blessings of our predecessor acharyas who have written so much about this. So we should seek blessings from all of them. And with that, we'll start. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so overview of chapter 3. So we have already covered this chapter 3, which was known as Karma Yoga, right? So before jumping on to the 4th chapter, which is transcendental knowledge, let's have the connection that how this chapter 4, transcendental knowledge, comes into being. So we all know that this Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue, right? It's a dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna, where Arjuna is putting some questions and Krishna is trying to answer those questions to Arjuna. So let's see the overview of chapter 3, and then we'll connect this chapter 3 to today's chapter, which is chapter number 4. So chapter 3. So I'll request, in the chat box, if you want to write what was the acronym we used for chapter 3, if anyone remembers. You can just write in a chat. Very good. Avanish Prabhu said tree. Yes, it was tree. So where T stands for Tyag, renunciation, right? So what we saw was that in the previous chapter, which was chapter number 2, which was the contents of the Gita summarized, in that chapter, it ended where Arjuna was confused because Arjuna was given this instruction that you have to perform duties, and there are 2 duties, right? There is Swadharma and there is Sanatan Dharma. So you have to perform this 2 duties. One duty is towards your body, another duty is towards your soul. Then Arjuna said in chapter 3, "Oh Krishna, why do you want me to do the duty towards this body? This body is imperishable. So let me just focus on the duty towards my soul. So let me renounce everything and just focus on whatever is required to do for this soul. Why should I care for the body? This body is anyways perishable." But then Krishna says that, renunciation is not just mere changing of one's dress. Renunciation is something that has to change internally. Our internal consciousness should be changed. And in this regard, then Krishna talks about 3 kinds of renunciation. He said renunciation, there is a fake renunciation, where you just renounce everything without knowledge, without intelligence. But then there is another renunciation, which is premature renunciation. You are not ready for that renunciation, but still out of some curiosity, out of some frustration, you just renounce everything. And that is what comes out to be a pretender, because you are not doing it with that right intelligence. But then comes the real renunciation. And real renunciation is what means to satisfy Krishna, to do something for the pleasure of Krishna. That is the real renunciation. Real renunciation is when we don't renounce these material things, but we use it in Krishna's service, which is known as Yukta Vairagya. And we have dealt very in deep in this subject matter. And then R, it stands for rungs on the yoga ladder. So we know there are some materialistic people. They do their work and they want to just simply enjoy. They want to do all kinds of sense gratification without involving any tinge of spirituality in their life. They are materialistic people, totally karmis. But then there are people who are on little higher level of karma kanda. Yes, they do things, but they approach Lord also, maybe just to fulfill their own sense gratification, to fulfill their own desires. They have nothing to do with spirituality, but they still bring the concept of God in their life. They are known as karma kanda, because materialistic people, those who are karmis, they are basically on the animalistic way of life. They are duipad pashu. They are doing all kind of sinful activities. But when somebody is on a karma kanda, they do some ritualistic, I'll not use spiritualistic, but some ritualistic activities, because they approach to the Supreme Lord for their own benefit, right? Or to ask the Supreme Lord for their own sense gratification. But there is higher yoga ladder, which is karma yoga. And in karma yoga, yoga means yuti, union. Union with who? Union with the Supreme Lord. So they are somehow connected with Supreme Lord. They do their work, but the concept of God is more in the Karma Yoga, because now they have attached to the Supreme Lord. And here there are two types, right? We have seen the division, that is Sakam Karma Yoga and Nishkam Karma Yoga. So when people approach the Supreme Lord with some calm, with some desires, they are known as Sakam Karma Yogis. And others who do not have any desires, they are Nishkam Karma Yogis. So this is what the rungs on the yoga ladder we have seen. And Krishna tells Arjuna, come to the level of Nishkam Karma Yogi. Then we saw exemplary. E stands for exemplary, where we should do, in which we can set an example. We have to set an example for others, right? The third section describes about the exemplary lifestyle, how we can be exemplary in our actions, in our activities, in our words, in our behavior. And how we can do that? By walking our talk. So that not having that duplicit nature, but yes, whatever we are, we just set an example for others to follow. And not only set an examples for others to follow, but also seek for the leaders whom we can follow, right? It's vice versa. So in the last section that we did was enemy of the soul. So here completes the tree, T-R-E-E-E. Right? So that E stands for enemy of the soul, where we saw what is the enemy of the soul, and that enemy is lust. And what are the degrees of covering lust? We saw that how fire covered by smoke, mirror covered by dust, and embryo that is covered in the womb. Then we saw what is the difference between love and lust. Something that is done for our own sense gratification is lust. But when the same activity is done for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, it is love. And where we can find that enemy can be found in our senses. The resting place of lust is in senses, in mind, and our intelligence. And how we can defeat it? When our senses, through senses, when we regulate our activities, when we put a regulation, then yes, we can conquer lust. And mind, just engage ourselves in doing spiritual activities, not ritualistic activities, but spiritual activities like chanting, reading. This way, the mind is under control. And how intelligence? Through spiritual knowledge. Just see, right? Here is the catch. Krishna is saying you can defeat this greatest enemy, lust, through spiritual knowledge. And what is this spiritual knowledge? Is this fourth chapter, which is transcendental knowledge. So we discuss what is the meaning of transcendental, right? This transcendental, another way we can say, is the spiritual knowledge. So how we can have this spiritual knowledge? Because we have to defeat this enemy lust, which is bonding us in this cycle of birth and death. Right? Yes, we can control our senses, we can control our mind, but all these can only be possible when our intelligence is proper. Otherwise, these senses are just like horses running in different directions. Mind is like a reins, but who is controlling that reins? That reins of all those horses are being controlled by intelligence. So intelligence has to be proper. The intelligence has to be sharpened enough with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, so that it can control the mind. Now, how we can perceive the spiritual knowledge? Who can perceive the spiritual knowledge? Who can know this transcendental knowledge? That will be explained in this coming chapter, which is chapter number 4. So transcendental knowledge, the acronym for this transcendental knowledge is EARS, E-A-R-S, right? So we all know that how important is the sense organ is ears, right? So what does this ears used for? These ears are used for to hear. So spiritual knowledge are known as Shruti Shastras, because that which can be heard. Shruti means to hear, and there are Smriti Shastras, which is to remember. But here, the spiritual knowledge is basically known as the Shruti Shastras, because which can be heard, right? So in previous ages, people, what would they do? They would hear this knowledge from a bona fide sources. They will remember it and they will assimilate it. And most importantly, they will communicate it to others perfectly, without any change or adulteration. That is the most important thing, to impart this knowledge, to give this knowledge to others, and so that, without any interpretation, so that the knowledge can be transferred in the right perspective. Just like this Bhagavad Gita. Why we are reading only this Bhagavad Gita? This Bhagavad Gita is as it
I cannot hear Mataji.
Yeah, I was about to say, is it for me only?
Yeah, even I had the
Completely.
same question.
I was checking my network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Even me
think
thinking like that, I don't want to disturb the class. I was waiting.
yeah, looks like some issue there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Mataji will join back.
Yeah, she's back.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Were you all able to hear me or not?
No, it was completely frozen
Till what
last
time?
time. It
From
just a couple of minutes ago, yeah. Like 1 or 2 minutes hardly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were not able to see the screen also, right?
Yeah, now we have to see. You have to share.
Okay, just wait. Give me a minute.
We were actually doubting on our own network.
Okay. Give me a minute now. Sorry about that. Okay, there was some problem from my side, I feel like. Can you all see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
You were talking about why this Bhagavad Gita and the importance of being conveyed in the as it is.
Yeah.
That's what you're telling.
Thank you. Okay, so we did all this. Yeah. So we were on this years, right? That how important it is that this Bhagavad Gita is as it is, which is given by Srila Prabhupada. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada gave us without any change, without any interpretation. It was given as it is, right? And then I was talking about that how ears, they play such an important role in our life, the sense of hearing. So as you all can relate to it, that when we are in a deep sleep, how are we able to wake up? It's through our alarm clock. So this alarm clock also works on the sense of hearing. You hear the sound, and that sound will help you to wake you up, even though you are in deep sleep. But the sound is so there. When the sound is there and it enters into the ears, you are able to wake up. So even when we are in deep sleep, we can be able to come back just to the sense of hearing. So we should use the sense so very, very, precisely, very, very importantly. We have to use it very properly. And it's very important that whom we are lending our ears to. Like if we are lending to others who are simply doing prajalpa, who are simply doing Vaishnava Prad, then we will also get the same quality. Like we have a wonderful example of Mother Kaikai in Ramayana Leela. Mother Kaikai, she was so, Lord Ram basically was so adorable to Kaikai. She used to love Lord Ram. But what happened? The moment she lended her ears to mantra, the talks of mantra, what happened? There was a transformation in the heart of Kaikai. Just through hearing the words of mantra, her heart was transformed. And she used to love Ram, and now she was against Ram. She was totally averse to Lord Ram, because of which she asked for the boon to send Lord Ram for 14 years of exile. So just see how this important, it's so important whom we are lending our ears. So we have to use this very, very, precisely, very important. It is, the sense is very important. So we have to use it very, very precisely. Okay, now let's see what are the acronyms. This acronym stands for this Transcendental Knowledge Years, where E stands for Eternal Education, and it spans over from the verses 1 to 10. Then A stands for Accurate Understanding, that span over from verses 11 to 15. R stands for Removing Reactions, verses 16 to 24. And S stands for Sacrifices, that is verses 25 to 42. This chapter has 42 verses, and we have bifurcated these 42 verses into 4 parts, that is EARS, Eternal Education, Accurate Understanding, Removing Reactions, and finally Sacrifice. So Krishna says that, there is this whole system, we have the full education system with properly that teaches us, and we have quite authorized universities for this. So when we go for our academic studies, what we see, we want to have the school which has a very good grade, and grading is very good, and maybe 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 or maybe 10 out of 10. We want to find a proper school, proper college which is properly authorized. We see the authorization of that school. So just for our college, as we see for the college, we see its authorization. So now we have to get some spiritual knowledge. So spiritual knowledge, how can we get it just like that? We are receiving this transcendental knowledge. So we have to go some authorized university or some authorized place, where some authorized educational system through which we can get this transcendental knowledge. Now, for example, just to let you understand, if I say that, I'm very eager to become a doctor, I want to perform some surgery. So let me just go to library, let me watch some YouTube videos, there are a lot of YouTube videos, and let me become equipped, and then I'll be available for surgery. How many people do you think they will come to me? I'll put a board outside that I'm such and such doctor, and you can come to me, and I have learned this everything from YouTube videos and just going to some libraries, reading books. How many people will come to me? None of them. People don't come to me because people trust is what is authority is, from where I have learned, right? So the trust is where the authority is. And that is what is very, very important. So self-appointed doctors or self-appointed engineers do not work. So if in academics, if that doesn't work, how can it work in our spiritual life? So self-equipped teachers also do not work. Those who say that, there are so many Babajis we see these days, in this Kali Yuga, especially in India, they proclaim that they are right, representative of the Supreme Lord, and somebody claims that even they are God, so, but we have to check for their, that how bona fide they are. But Krishna, he tells that we have the full education system. And what is that? We'll go through now. So this is what E is, eternal education. And Krishna says that there are 4 bona fide sampradayas. So Krishna, he gives his knowledge to Lord Brahma, to Goddess Lakshmi, to Lord Shiva, and to the 4 Kumaras. So originally this eternal education, this transcendental education, this transcendental knowledge, this divine knowledge, this spiritual knowledge was imparted to these 4 personalities: Lord Brahma, Lord Lakshmi, Goddess Lakshmi, Lord Shiva, and the 4 Kumaras. 4 Kumaras, we know they are the first Manasaputras of Lord Brahma, those who were born from the mind. And from Lord Brahma, this knowledge was imparted to Sri Madhvacharya. And Goddess Lakshmi imparted this knowledge to Sri Ramanujacharya. Lord Shiva gave it to Sri Vishnu Swami, and 4 Kumaras gave it to Sri Nimbarkacharya. So these are the 4 bona fide, sampradayas. They are the founder, these 4, like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarkacharya, Sri Vishnu Swami. They are basically the 4 what do you say, the authorities, they are the founder members, right? They are the qualified teachers, and that have been given. So Brahma gave this to Madhvacharya, Goddess Lakshmi gave it to Ramanujacharya, Lord Shiva gave this to Vishnu Swami, and 4 Kumaras gave it to Nimbarkacharya. And that's why we have 4 sampradayas. These are the 4 bona fide sampradayas. Now, what is our sampradaya? Our sampradaya is Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Now, we ISKCON devotees, they fall into this bona fide sampradaya. Now, all these 4 sampradayas, they are Vaishnav sampradayas. They are bona fide. We can seek education from any of these sampradayas because their predecessor acharyas are connected directly to Lord Shri Krishna. Like we see that in the slide also, you can see that how Krishna gave this knowledge first to Brahma, then Brahma to Narada, to Vyasa, to Madhvacharya, and it goes on and on and on. And finally, it comes to our dear Srila Prabhupada, who was the founder Acharya of ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So we have this whole table. So when we have this whole table, we can connect, we can tell that we are directly representing Krishna, because the original knowledge of Krishna was given to Brahma, Brahma to Narada, and finally to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So through this, we can check the bona fide of a sampradaya. If somebody claims, then we can ask, okay, who is your spiritual master? Who is his spiritual master? And then finally, it has to get connected to Krishna himself. And that's what Krishna also says in the 4th chapter, the 2nd verse. He says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajrishayo vidu sakaleha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. What Krishna says, that this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession. See how important it is, disciplic succession. And the saintly kings, the Raj Rishis, they understood in that way. But in due course of time, kalena means as per time. The time the succession was broken, it was nashta, it was broken, and therefore the science appears to be lost. So the science was actually lost. But then what happened? To re-establish this bona fide education system, Krishna, again, because it was lost over the period of time, then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that actually I gave this knowledge to Vivaswan. I gave this knowledge to Sun God. And from Sun God, the Sun God gave this, it was transferred to Vaivashvata Manu, who was the son of Sun God, who is also the father of mankind. And then from Vaivashvata Manu, it got transferred to Ishvaku. So this is how he said that I came to re-establish this bona fide education system. But after that, Ishvaku also, it was lost. And then Krishna says, now I am giving this knowledge to you, Arjuna. But then Arjuna says, first of all, he puts up this question, why me, Arjuna? Or why me, Krishna? Why you chose only me to give this knowledge? And then Krishna says, Bhakto mi sakha cheti, because you are my devotee, you are my friend. And because you are my devotee and my friend, you have this relevant inquiry, you put this wonderful questions, and also you follow the instruction. So this is also very, very important for us that this knowledge was then given to Arjuna, but then Arjuna asked, right, why only you chose me? Then Krishna says, because you are my devotee. So devotee, what does the meaning of devotee? Devotee means that one who is non-challenging, who accepts the supremacy of Krishna, and who does not accept only a certain aspect of Bhagavad Gita, but accepts all the aspects of Bhagavad Gita. Right? That person is a devotee who doesn't defy the supremacy of Krishna. So Krishna says, you are my devotee. So therefore, I'm imparting this knowledge to you. And then you are my friend. Friend means you are non-envious. How the friends are? They don't feel that if my another friend is progressing either materially or spiritually, they don't develop that animosity towards their friends. They feel rather happy. That is what the friendship is. So Krishna says, You are non-envious. You are my friend. And that's why I want to give this knowledge to you. And then he says, you put some relevant inquiry. You have these wonderful questions from first, second, third. We see that how wonderfully Arjuna was putting his questions to seek answers from Krishna. And lastly, he said, because you are there to follow the instructions. So this is all for us. If we also want to decode the hidden message, this confidential message of Bhagavad Gita, then we all have to come onto this level of Arjuna. We have to come onto this level of Arjuna, where we have to accept the supremacy of Krishna with some little faith, with some little conviction, and then that conviction will eventually grow. And also we have to be non-envious. We cannot defy the supremacy of Krishna, and at the same time, we cannot develop that animosity towards Krishna. So these are the two basic things that Krishna also says, Bhakto sime sakhacheti, because you are my dear friend, you are my devotee, so you can perceive this knowledge. And therefore, I'm giving this knowledge to you. But then Arjuna also asked, oh Krishna, okay, I understood that you are saying that because I'm your friend and I'm a devotee, you are giving this knowledge to me. But then how can I understand that you are at the same age of mine? And you are saying that you gave this knowledge to Vivaswan, to sun god, who is there for millions and millions of years. So how can I understand that you imparted this knowledge to sun god? But you said that you are my friend. You considered me as your friend. That means we are of the same age. So we are of the same age. So how can I understand that you gave this knowledge to Vivaswan, which was millions and millions of years ago? How can you give that knowledge? And to that, Krishna, very sweetly, smilingly, he replied, oh, Arjuna, actually, we all both have taken many, many births, but I remember all of them, and you don't remember any of those births. So this is the conditioning that we all have. We don't even remember what we were doing same time yesterday. And forget about doing, we don't even remember what we had anything, in breakfast yesterday or day before yesterday. So just past 2-3 days, things we are not able to reconcile and not able to remember. Then what to talk about the births that we have taken? So Krishna says, you don't remember all that. You forget all this. But I do not forget. I am that supreme, that I am Satchit Ananda. I am all knowledgeable. I am eternal. I am all blissful. So therefore, I remember everything, Arjuna, but you don't. And to this, Krishna explains his divine nature. And for his divine nature of his appearance, Krishna first tells about the uniqueness of his divine nature. And he says, although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my own transcendental form. So it's very important that Krishna says that I appear in every millennium in my own original transcendental form. But we conditioned souls, we are forced to enter into the semen of a father, to a womb of a mother. We are forced to do that. We are forced to accept. We are given no choice to choose that which country will take birth, who will be our parents, who will be our siblings, because we are so much conditioned. But Krishna, he is not conditioned. So Krishna comes with his own sweet will. Wherever he wants, he can come. If he wants to come through a pillar, he can come as Lord Nrsingadev. If he wants to come from the nostrils of Brahma, he comes as Varahadev. He comes as a Matsya avatar. So Krishna can, with his own sweet will, he makes his appearance. For us, we say we have birthdays because we take birth. But for Krishna, it's not birthday, it's his appearance day. And just, a few days after, we'll be celebrating the most auspicious appearance of Krishna, which is Krishna Janmashtami. Therefore, we say that Krishna appears. He appears and he disappears. But for us, we take birth and we die. So this is the uniqueness of Krishna's appearance. And then Krishna says, time. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata apyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyam. Where Krishna says that whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, there is adharmic things goes on. O descendant of Bharata, I descend myself, and there is a predominant rise of irreligion. There is adharma. Tadatmanam srijamyam. At that time, I descend myself. So this is Krishna is giving. See how precisely he is explaining. He's explaining about his uniqueness, that how unique his appearance is. And then he is also giving the time, that at what time Krishna appears. And then he doesn't stop here. He moves forward and he gives the purpose why he appears. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sanstapnarthaya sambhavani yuge yuge. So Krishna is saying, I come here paritranaya sadhunam, to deliver the pious people, and vinashaya cha dushkritam, to annihilate the miscreants, and dharma samstapnarthaya, to establish the dharma, to establish the principles of religion. Sambhavani yuge yuge. I myself appear after millennium. So what is this dharma? Dharma doesn't mean just related to some kind of religious practices. Dharma actually is what is our eternal dharma. Like we say, that dharma of a sugar is sweet, dharma of fire is to give heat and light, dharma of water is to flow, right? Because if the water it becomes ice, then its dharma changes, right? So dharma of water is to flow. So similarly, we jivas, we conditioned souls also have our dharma. And what is our dharma? If we consider ourselves to be in this body, then yes, I have so many dharmas. Like I'm a mother, so I have a dharma towards my children. I am a wife, so I have a dharma towards my spouse. And if I am a daughter, I have a dharma towards my parents. I am a daughter-in-law, I have dharma towards my in-laws. But these are all bodily dharmas because they are related to a bodily designations. But we are not this body. In the second chapter, we have, in detail, we have studied that we are not this body. We are the spirit souls. So what is the dharma of a spirit soul? Jive Swarupa Hoye Nitya Krishna Radas. Our real dharma is that we are the servants and servants of the Supreme Lord. That is our real dharma. That is our Sanatan Dharma. And when we forget this Sanatan Dharma, when we just get engaged in so-called false designations and bodily designations, then Krishna says to re-establish that main dharma, which is the Sanatan Dharma, I myself appear millennium after millennium to dharma samstapnarthaya, right? So this how Krishna gives the purpose of his appearance. And then what is the result? Okay, I know the uniqueness, I know the time, I know the purpose, but after that what? Then Krishna doesn't stop there. Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yoveti tattvataha Deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. So Krishna says, one who knows this knowledge of what? Knowledge of the uniqueness of my appearance, knowledge of the time of my appearance, knowledge of the purpose of my appearance, one who knows about all this and they know about my activities. Tyaktva deham punarjanma. When they give up this body, they don't come back. Tyakta deham punarjanma. They don't take birth again. Naiti mameti suvarjuna. But then what they do? They attain my eternal abode. So how important it is to know this transcendental knowledge. When we are aware of this spiritual knowledge, when we know the supremacy of Krishna, when we know about his appearance, the uniqueness of his appearance, the time of his appearance, the purpose of his appearance, then when we dive deep into it, then Krishna says, this is Krishna himself who's giving this result, who is giving this benediction, that one who knows about all this, once they leave this body, they will not come in this material world. Such a beautiful benediction. After all, we are studying this Bhagavad Gita. Why we are joining every day, week after week, to know about Krishna, right? What Krishna spoke this, why Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita, and what is there in this Bhagavad Gita. So why are we doing this? Just so that we want to get rid. We want the answers for our questions. We want to get rid of this cycle of birth and death. Right? That's our main motive. And Krishna here directly saying that if you know this transcendental knowledge, you are not going to come back and you will attain my supreme abode. So this is the result of transcendental knowledge that Krishna himself is giving. So this is what is E, that is eternal education. So in eternal education, we saw who can have that eternal education, who is eligible, one who is a devotee and one who is a friend, who has the specific inquiries and who follow the instructions. And then we see about how we can get it by understanding the transcendental appearance, the uniqueness, the time of Krishna's appearance. And then finally, what will be the result? The result is that we don't come back. We are not bonded in this cycle of birth and death. That is what is E, that is eternal education. Now comes A. Remember, we have the acronym EARS, right? So A stands for accurate understanding. So our accurate understanding, okay, before that, we'll just do the life lesson. I forgot the life lesson, I'm sorry. So we'll do the life lesson of this section E. And the life lesson is that when Krishna had made such an elaborate system, it is our duty to search an affiliated university and find the right teacher, right? We just cannot blame Krishna. We have been given this intelligence and we have to find the right parampara, the right guru. When we approach to any spiritual master, there is no harm that we can ask that who is your guru, who is your guru, and further we can see from which parampara he belongs. And if we follow any of the four, these bona fide paramparas, then we are in the right hands, we are in the safe hands. So this is what Krishna has been given, that we have to search. Now it's our duty. We have to search the right affiliated university. That means the right parampara, which connects directly to Krishna, and then find the right teacher or the guru who can impart this transcendental knowledge to us. So what is this accurate understanding? Accurate understanding is that Krishna is a Bhakta Vatsala. This is the only understanding that we can highlight to it. Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. He reciprocates with his devotees. Ye yathamam prapadyante stam stataiva bhajamiham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. What Krishna says, as you all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. So that's what Krishna says, that he is a Bhakta Vatsala. He reciprocates it with his devotees. If we surrender 10%, then Krishna will reciprocate 10%. If we surrender 50%, then Krishna will reciprocate 50%. And if we surrender 100%, then Krishna will reciprocate 100%. So as we see in this picture of Sudama, that how Sudama, he surrendered 100%, and we know the result. We all know about this Sudama Charitra. I'll definitely not go into detail, but this is what a one-liner thing of what is the accurate understanding is, that Krishna is not that big boss who's taking a cane in his hand and is there, okay, you did this mistake, here I am to punish you. You did this mistake and here I am to punish you. That's not the right understanding. But the right understanding is that Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. He reciprocates accordingly with his devotees. So in this regard, Krishna will, what he will do, he will also, that we all know that we all have various misconceptions that prevails in this world. So Krishna will, what he will do, he'll one by one remove all those misconceptions. He'll remove all these misconceptions of whatever that prevails in this world, and then he will bring us onto this accurate or the right understanding, right? So first of all, we'll see that Krishna says, right? In this verse, we saw that Krishna says, as all surrender unto me, ye yatha mam prapadyante. So how do we have to surrender to Krishna? No, that's the question. And then slowly answering this question, that how we can surrender unto him, side by side, Krishna will be defeating a lot of misconceptions, will be, treating a lot of misconceptions. So let's move. First is the misconception of polytheism, that is worship of many gods. Now here, in the previous slide, we saw that Krishna says, ye yatha mam prapadyante, as you all surrender unto me. Now, someone says that they all are equal. Like if we go to Brahma, if we go to Vishnu, if we go to Shiva, it's all the same, right? People, back in India, we all have come to this understanding that how they say that, you can approach anybody and you will get the right destination. There are different routes, but the destination is the same. You all might have heard these kind of talks. So what if I worship goddess Durga, and what if I worship Lord Shiva? So what? They are all gods and there are different routes, but actually the destination is same. But that's not, this is the misconception of polytheism that is being, refuted by Krishna, because Krishna says that, people worship to all the demigods because they want to achieve success in their material work, for their materialistic achievements. They approach to all these demigods. And there are 33 million demigods, so whom to approach? It's not that one person is there and, So first of all, we have to understand that if we approach to such demigods, then we have to see that who these demigods are. Who are these demigods? They are basically the temporary controller of this entire universe, right? So they are basically well-trained people who are being appointed to take care of this universe so that this universe can run properly. I'll give you an example. Just like we have this government, right? So there is a prime minister, there is a president, and then we have a lot of cabinet ministers. We have health minister, we have finance minister, we have defense minister, we have home minister, we have education minister. There are so many ministers. So what these ministers are? These ministers are taking the care of their particular department, right? So they are holding some position. Are they supreme? No. A defense minister will hardly know anything about education, that what's going on in the educational department. The educational minister will hardly know what's going on in the health department, right? So this way, they all know about their department. So there are different departments and there are different departmental heads. Similarly, all these so-called demigods, they are the departmental heads of their particular department. They are not the supreme. Example, Indra, we have Indra, right? Indra is a title. He holds a position. He is responsible for rain. Vayu Dev is responsible for wind. Varun Dev is responsible for different bodies, different, water bodies. So different departments have different heads, departmental heads. And all these are not eternal. They change. Like, for example, Indra, we say. So Indra is a position, right? It's a designation given to some personality. Like, for example, this Manvantara, this time, our Indra, his name is Purandara. Next Manvantara, the Indra will be Bali Maharaj, right? Even you, me, anyone can become Indra, right? So Indra is a position. It's a designation. It's a title. So how can they be supreme? Can they be supreme? No, they cannot be supreme. So how come if somebody worships Indra, how can they achieve the supreme destination? They can go only to Indralok because they are the worshippers of Indra. They cannot achieve the supreme destination because Indra is not a supreme. He is not supreme. He is just a departmental head of a particular department, right? So And moreover, when we go to these demigods, yes, we do achieve some benediction. Like if I want a beautiful husband, I can approach to Mother Uma, like, they used to worship, right? The Uma Devi, just to get a beautiful husband, or Lord Shiva to get a beautiful wife, they worship. So we do get some different, boons, the benedictions from these demigods. But we have to understand that how they get the power to benedict. The power to benedict also, they are achieving it from the source, and that is Krishna. That is the Supreme Lord. So they themselves have no power to benedict. For example, I'll give you. Hiranyakashipu, he was a demon, right? And he did so much austerity for 10,000 years. And he approached Lord Brahma. He pleased Lord Brahma. Brahma came and he asked for the benediction. And he asked what he asked? Please make me immortal. And Brahma says, well, I cannot give you this benediction because I myself is not immortal. I also live only for 100 years. I cannot give you that benediction. I don't have that. I don't possess that. But Supreme Lord is not limited. He is unlimited, right? But these demigods, they are limited in their powers, and those powers they are also getting from the higher source. So, and whatever they are giving is temporary because they themselves are temporary. So the benediction that they will give will only be valid in this material world. We cannot have something spiritual by pleasing any of the demigods. So in that case, Krishna is refuting this thing of misconception of polytheism. Yes, they are, I'm not saying to ignore them. They are wonderful, powerful personalities because they are working in the direct instruction of the Supreme Lord. So how can we ignore them? We cannot ignore them. They are powerful personalities. We should have all respect for all the demigods, whether it can be Ganesha, it can be Mother Durga, it can be Lord Shiva, or whosoever it can be, right? So we have to give them proper respects. But how we can give is when we approach them, we bow down to them, but we also tell them, please give me Krishna Bhakti. Please make me more closer towards the Supreme Lord. And these demigods, because they are working under the direct instruction of Supreme Lord, they are more happy to connect us to their masters. Their master, they are happy to connect us. And therefore, this is the right way of approaching them. So Krishna refutes when we say that, all spiritual paths lead to the same destination. No, that is not the case. And we have in our culture, we don't have the concept of many gods. God is one. Okay, God is one, and he is the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme Lord Krishna. Rest all are working under the direction of Krishna. So this is the first misconception that Krishna refutes. Moving forward. Yeah, so misconception that all spiritual paths leads to the same destination is being refuted by Krishna. Now Krishna says that, okay, this is one thing. Another thing, how you can know me is through Brahman. So we all know that there are few set of people, they defy that, the point that Krishna is a person or Krishna has a personal form. They defy this. And they say that there is some light, some energy, and that is what is Brahman. So yes, they achieve this Brahman thing, but then what happened after achieving Brahman is that they want to merge into that supreme light. Like we also say, Atma Paramatma mein leen ho jati hai, right? So they just believe in total peace, total silence, no activity, no thoughts, no anxiety, no tension, and they just want to achieve Brahman. So when somebody achieves Brahman, they'll get Sat, they get eternity. That's true. But another is Paramatma, that is Sat, that is eternity also, but they also get knowledge, because those who focus on Paramatma, they are cognizant of the presence of the Supreme Lord in their heart, and at the same time, they take instructions from him. So it's just given the example that how two birds are there on the same tree. So Shvetashvara Upanishad describes this beautifully analogy that two birds are there on the same tree. One bird is busy eating the fruits of the trees and another bird is simply watching. So the bird that is eating is the soul, and the bird that is watching is the Paramatma. So in our heart, we have soul and we have super soul. So super soul is always there accompanying us, helping us, but is waiting that how that another bird can turn the face towards the another bird and says, okay, now I acknowledge you. Now I'm fully cognizant of your presence. So please instruct me so that how I can live my life. So those who are cognizant of the Paramatma present in the heart, they become, fully aware and they seek instructions from that Paramatma. They get knowledge, they get peace as well as they get instructions. So they get Sat and they get Chit. But the third level is Bhagavan. That is the third level of realization where we get Sat, we get Chit, we also get Ananda. Why Ananda? Because there, Krishna is there in the personal form where we can establish that relationship with Krishna. We can be a servant of Krishna. We can have the parental relationship with Krishna. We can have friendship with Krishna. We can have that conjugal love with Krishna. We can develop so many relationships with Krishna. For example, I give you like somebody, suppose if I get COVID positive, I will be confined to one room. Right? I will be confined to one room. I will get proper food. I will get proper water. I will get even proper internet connection. I will get everything. But there will be no personal interaction with my family members because I've been tested as COVID positive. So I'll be confined in the four walls. So I'll get everything, but there's something that I'll be missing. And what I'll be missing is the bliss part, the Ananda part, Ananda of interacting with my family members. So when we say that this Bhagavan realization is the highest realization, I'm not saying that all these three are not true. Yes, they are all true. There are different ways of understanding the Supreme Lord, but these two are incomplete. The Brahman realization and Paramatma realization, they are true of understanding of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Absolute Truth, but they are incomplete. The completion is when we realize that there is Bhagavan, where we have Ananda. So we should aspire, we should strive to have a relationship because that relationship is going to be the eternal relationship. It's not the relationship of this world, but it's going to be the eternal relationship with our eternal Supreme Lord. So this way Krishna says that you have to come onto this Bhagavan realization. Let's move forward. Now the misconception of caste system. So there is a very beautiful verse. Chaturvarnyam maya shrishtam guna karma vibhagasha tasya kartaham apimam vidhi akritaram avyayam. So according to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. So we all know that there is a very, prevailing caste system, especially it happens back in India, where Shudras are mistreated, Brahmanas are given some value. So Krishna refutes this caste system also. Krishna says, yes, this is all made by me. There are four varnas. We know that there are four varnas and there are Brahmanas who are intellectual class. Then we have Kshatriyas who are administrative class. Then we have Vaishyas who are business class, and also we have Shudras, they are labor class. And for all of them, we have four ashramas, that is a brahmacharya ashram, that is a student life, and then we have a grahastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, and finally sannyas. But Krishna says that yes, these are all made by me, chatur varnam maya shrishtam. But guna karma vibhagasha. This is very, very important. People forget this. This is guna karma vibhagasha. Just like, I'll give you an example. We have principal three colors like RBG, that is red, blue, and green. But with the permutation and combination of three colors, we can come up with variety of the shades of different colors, right? So similarly, we have only three modes: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. But all these three gunas, when they combine, we have various combinations and permutations. We actually come up with 8,400,000 species of life. So based on my guna only, my proclivity, my inclination, on my quality, my work, my activities will describe what varna I am, what varna I belong to. So Krishna is refuting this misconception of society where they say that a son of a Brahmana will be a Brahmana. No, maybe the son of Brahmana may have an inclination towards doing some kind of business. So he may be, his activity will be more inclined towards the business class, right? So, but someone who might be from a business class family, but his proclivity, his inclination may be towards reading scriptures or doing some yajna, so he may be towards the Brahmanical side. So that's what Krishna is saying, that actually it is guna karma vibhagasha. It is not by birth that you can say that a son of a Brahmana be a Brahmana. The son of a doctor need not be a doctor. Yes, the environment may be conducive for that person, for that son to study, to do that medical thing. Yes, the environment may be conducive, but it's not always important that a son of a doctor will be a doctor. So Krishna is refuting this misconception also, which we have the various caste system. Krishna says it's Maya Shrishtam. I only made it, but for the benefit of people, and it is not by birth. It is not by birth, but it is by guna and karma. It's guna karma vibhagasha. So this way, Krishna refutes this conception also. So the three conceptions we studied: the conception of polytheism, of many gods, then the conception that all spiritual paths leads to the same destination, and the third is the misconception of caste system. So we did E, A, and now we are on R. So before we move on R, let's see what's the life lesson for us. For life lesson for A, that is the accurate understanding, is that different flights goes to different destinations. Therefore, decide and buy your ticket appropriately. If I want to go to Chicago and if I buy a ticket to Atlanta, will my plane ever reach to Chicago? No, it won't. It will land up in Atlanta and I have to get out in Atlanta itself. So if I am worshipping any demigod, then I have to be really careful whom I'm worshipping and what is my destination. If my destination is Goloka Vrindavan, if my destination is where I can have a relationship with Krishna as a cowherd boy, then yes, I have to have that mood and I have to go and to the right path and I have to worship Krishna. And I have to neglect everything else, right? So different flights goes to different directions, destinations. Therefore, we have to decide and buy the ticket appropriately. So now we'll see R. R is removing reactions. I'll quickly do now. You're already at 9:26. So removing reactions, right? We all know that, karma. Now here Krishna will talk about karma. So we have all come across this famous saying, as you sow, so shall you reap. So here Krishna will discuss that, yes, very important for us to work. We have to work, but at the same time, we have to understand that the work causes bondage. So how can I get out of it? How can I get clear of my karmic bank balance? Because if I do something, there is an opposite reaction to it. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? Karma, if you ask somebody what is karma, they'll immediately say what goes around comes back, comes around, right? This is the famous definition. So Krishna here will describe about the three types of karmas. And first he will say about karma, that is the first is where we do some pious actions, we do some philanthropic work, maybe we can join some NGOs and we care for people. So what is that? We are doing some pious actions. At the same time, what we are doing, we are enjoying, because piety will give us some credits. And because of that credit, we'll enjoy. Maybe we'll have an opulent life, maybe a healthy life, maybe a peaceful life. But what is the outcome? The rebirth. Outcome is rebirth. Because if you have money, if you have credits, you have to use those credits, because you cannot go back. You can only go back to Krishna when you are at zero. But if we are doing some karma, how can it be at zero? I'll do some good activities, so naturally I'll gain some credits. Now I have to use those credits. And how can I use those credits? By enjoying, and at the same time, by taking rebirth. So that means again, I am into this bondage of cycle of birth and death. I have not been relieved. Okay, so let me not do karma. Then what should I do? Let me do vikarma. What is vikarma? Vikarma is sinful actions. When I do sinful actions, then I suffer. Right? My health is not good. Maybe I may not have enough wealth. Maybe I have to starve, or maybe I have to put behind the bars. There is a lot of suffering. Now, when there is a lot of suffering, then also we have to take rebirth, because we are in debt. Now we don't have any credit. So we cannot go back. We are in debt now. Negative balance is there. So again, we have to take rebirth, because if we are doing some wrong activities, then to get the reactions of that wrong activities, we again have to come back, because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So again, we have to come back. But then what should I do that I can be cut off this bondage? Then Krishna says, indulge yourself in akarma. And what is akarma? Is work, right? But work for Krishna, and that is inaction. Only joy. It's only joy, because you are doing everything for Krishna. And what is the outcome? You will enjoy spiritual world with Krishna. You will be the part of Krishna's pastimes. You can participate in Krishna's pastimes. So that is the supreme destination, what we get just by do akarma activities. I'll give you an example. We are in this battlefield of Kurukshetra. Don't forget that. Krishna is saying this Bhagavad Gita right in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And what is there in Kurukshetra? Arjuna and Duryodhana. They both want to fight, right? Previously, before Arjuna put these questions, why he came to this battlefield? To fight, right? So both want to fight. But now, after this, listening to this Bhagavad Gita, Duryodhana is also in the same consciousness where he wants to fight, because for his own sense gratification, he wants to enjoy kingdom. But Arjuna, why he's fighting? Just to please Krishna. So activity is same. Both are fighting, and both are fighting with their full valor. But the consciousness of Arjuna is that I'm fighting for Krishna. Krishna wants me to fight, so I'm fighting. But yes, I'm not compromising in any of the aspect. I'm fighting. But Duryodhana was fighting only for himself. He wants to gain the kingdom. He wants to become the king. He wants to acquire the whole land. So the activity is same, but the consciousness is different. So in our karma, yes, we do work. We do our 9-to-5 job. But for whom? For the pleasure of Krishna. When we utilize all our opulences, all our activities in service of Krishna, the same karma becomes a karma. And when it becomes a karma, it doesn't yield any reactions. So Arjuna was not having any reaction of fighting. He was fighting just to please Krishna. So we should also try to do some akarmic activities in our life. Activities which is done only for the pleasure of Krishna. So what is the life lesson? That Krishna is not responsible for our situation. We cannot hold Krishna to be responsible. We should perform our duties nicely, yet cautiously, so that we don't get stuck in this material world. So we should not do karmic activities. We should not do forbidden activities. That is, we should not do, vikarma. We should not do karma. We should not do vikarma, but we should always do karma. So that is what Krishna is saying, that do your duties cautiously so that you don't get stuck in this material world. Last, we'll see sacrifice. I know we are going beyond time, but there is so much to cover. So true success requires sacrifice. Now, what is this sacrifice? Let's see first. So sacrifice is, sacrifice doesn't mean either to sacrifice or slaughter an animal for the pleasure of some demigod. Sacrifice also just doesn't mean the fire sacrifice, but sacrifice means when we give up something important, something valuable for the sake of some other consideration. When we do any activity which is performed to attain a certain goal. That is what is sacrifice. So there are various types of sacrifice that Krishna describes, which is demigod worship, Brahman worship, mind control. Yes, mind control also requires some kind of sacrifice. Sense control. Yes, we have to sacrifice to something because now we are under the sense control. Self-control, charity, where we have to sacrifice our wealth because we are indulging in some charity. Austerity. Yes, we have to live sometimes austere life, and this is what is sacrifice. Mysticism, some scriptural studies, pranayam, where we have to sacrifice our, our luxury, our comfort in order to do some pranayam. So all these sacrifices that are being listed, they all require some or the other kind of sacrifice that we have to give up, something valuable, something important that we have to give up. Now, what is the process of attaining this knowledge? This sacrifice is from Guru. So very, very important verse, worth memorizing. And it's the key verse of this whole chapter, which is Tadvidhi pranipatena pariparshnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Tadvidhi pranipatena. But then when you approach your spiritual master, what do? You just don't ask, hey, I have this question. Can you answer? No. Pariparshnena sevaya. You ask the questions, but very submissively, not in a challenging mood. And sevaya, you serve them. You do their service. Upakshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Then these self-realized souls, when you approach to them submissively, humbly, then they will impart the true knowledge into your heart. Why? Because they are tattvadarshina. They have seen the truth. Right? So this is what is being given in this 4.34, that we have to approach a spiritual master because he is Tattva Darshina. He has seen that truth, and therefore he is going to impart the knowledge in our heart. See, academic knowledge I can learn through joining any of the course, through my practice. If I want to learn something about computer, I can practice many times and eventually I'll come and I'll learn. But this spiritual knowledge cannot be learned in this way. It has to be revealed in the heart of a devotee via the medium of a spiritual master. That's why it says, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. This transcendental knowledge has to be revealed. You cannot understand through academic studies. No, you cannot. Okay, so therefore, how important it is that we approach the spiritual master. And then what Guru does? Guru teaches us to sacrifice our anarthas. Guru teaches us to sacrifice our misconceptions. Guru teaches us to get rid, to sacrifice our pride, our false ego, and then the true knowledge gets revealed. So how can I get this spiritual knowledge? By molding my character, by shaping my personality. Only then I will be able to get. So like I said, if I want to know something about related to this material world, through practice, I can learn. But to learn this spiritual knowledge, I have to develop my character. And that character can only be developed when I do a particular sacrifice. Sacrifice mentally to control my senses, intellectual to surrender to authority, and through my actions. How? By serving, through humility, having the service attitude. So only then when I have this thing of sacrifice and I learn it from the spiritual master, I develop the right character so that I can achieve this transcendental knowledge. And what is the topmost sacrifice? Is chanting. Chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When this sound of chanting through my mouth, it enters into my ears, and from my ears, it enters into my heart, it will bring transformation in my heart. There will be shift of consciousness in my heart, and that's going to help me progress in my spiritual life. through reading, through Shastras, I am training my intelligence so that intelligence can help in controlling the mind, so that the senses, the horses may not run in different directions. And finally, the sense control, because these horses are running, these senses are running towards sense objects. But when I regulate it, then, they can be under control. So this is the topmost sacrifice. And what is the result of topmost sacrifices? There will be no bewilderment. We'll destroy all our sinful reactions, and it's going to bestow pure vision to us. So this is the result of this topmost sacrifice. And the success formula that Krishna gives in the last verses of this 4th chapter is, we have to have faith in scripture, dedication to the process, sense control, and then only we'll attain the spiritual peace, the spiritual destination. This is the success formula. We can take up all these ladders through performing all these processes and finally reach the supreme destination. But there is another that Krishna cautions us, and that is the failure formula. When we are ignorant, when we have no faith in scripture, when we are faithless, when we doubt the scriptures, then what happened? We are bitten by all these snakes here. And then there is a complete fall down, and we have to be bonded in this cycle of birth and death. So what is the life lesson of this last section is, sow the seed of faith in your heart. Have a little faith. Krishna says right in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada, he mentions that you have to have faith. We all have this faith. When we board a flight, we have faith in the pilot, in pilot, we have that faith that pilot will help me reach the destination to which I aspire for. Right? We have a little faith. We keep that faith in. Only then we board the flight with the hope that I'll reach to my destination. So when it comes to getting spiritual knowledge, why should we become faithless? We should sow little faith in the heart, because faith, it may not make things easy, but it makes things possible. So we should always have that faith, because that faith is going to help us progress. By faithful service and the sincere inquiry, our heart becomes the fertile ground for spiritual knowledge to blossom. So we should have that faith. That's what Krishna instructs. So here we'll end up, and we'll just recap, summarize what we learned in chapter 4. So chapter 4, we learned about eternal education. Who can acquire? Krishna says devotee, friend, relevant inquiry, and following instructions. Then from whom can we inquire? Through bona fide parampara. And then what is all about? It's all about Krishna's appearance. When does he appear? Why does he appear? What happens after gaining this knowledge? The result we all saw. And then the accurate understanding about removing misconception of polytheism, misconception that all spiritual paths leads to the same destination, and misconception of caste system. Then we learn about removing reactions. How we can remove reactions? By doing akarmic activities. Through karma and vikarma, we are binding ourselves into the cycle of birth and death. And finally, sacrifices. And in sacrifices, we learned what is the meaning of the sacrifice, what is the process, what are the different types of sacrifices, what is the topmost sacrifices, that is chanting, reading, and sense control. And what is the result? That our all reactions will be removed by performing these topmost sacrifices. So with that, we'll end up. Thank you all so much for patiently listening. I'm sorry I went little over time, but it was much needed because this chapter was quite elaborate. So thank you so much. Let's see if we have any quick questions, any comments. Then 10 minutes we can take it. Hare Krishna. Shila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Fantastic session. I will go with the questions first.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Jayesh has a question. He says, where does this Gaudiya word come from? He's asking you in the Sampradaya, Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. How did the Gaudiya come in, and can you explain the tree from there?
Yes, Jayesh. So very beautiful question. So Gaudiya is actually about Gauda. It's Gauda Desh, that is the Desh, that is the place of Bengal. And our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took, he appeared in that desh. So it is actually Gauranga Mahaprabhu that comes into picture, because he is the one who took this teachings from Madhvacharya, and he then formulated it further to the descendants, right? So from there it comes the words Gaudiya. So Gaudiya is actually related to Gauda Desh, in which Mahaprabhu made his appearance. So that's why the name of our whole sampradaya is Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, right?
Ji Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is class every Tuesday same time? Yes, this is every Tuesday same time. That is 8:20 EST. I have two questions. Okay, Uma Mataji, you have two questions. You want to unmute?
Sure, Mataji.
Okay, your first question is, why is Krishna referring Arjuna as a descendant of Bharata? Because he is a descendant of Bharata, right? Bharat Maharaj, through Bharat Maharaj, he has many sons, right? But you know about the story of Bharat Maharaj, right? But Bharat Maharaj didn't feel that any of his son can take up the responsibility of a king. So before renouncing the kingdom, he gave his kingdom to Shantanu, who was just a mere citizen of that place, right? So he gave it to Shantanu, and from Shantanu, we know that how Satyavat's sons, Chitrangda and what's his name? Vichitravirya came, Vichitravirya, but then through them, how Chitrangda left his body, and then Vichitriya, Ambika and Ambalika, right? We all know, and from there Dhritarashtra, and then Pandu, and then from Pandu comes Arjun. So because he is descendant of that Bharat Maharaj, so he's saying, you are, O Bharata. He's addressing Arjuna as Bharata.
Got it, Mataji. Thank you. And just one more question. Why does Krishna ask us surrender unto my lotus feet? Like his body is transcendental, right? So all the parts of his body are the same. So why does he specifically mention lotus feet?
Yes. Why does he specifically mention lotus feet? It doesn't have to mean that, you can only surrender into the lotus feet. The lotus feet belongs to a person. Only a personality can have a lotus feet. You agree to this point, right?
Yes.
So Krishna's body is transcendental, but our position is not just to make eye and eye contact to Krishna. Our position is of a dasya, and not only dasya, our position is das anudas anudas, that we are the servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Lord. We have no capability to directly serve Krishna. So therefore, when we engage in service of Krishna, we approached via Guru, via spiritual master. So we are basically servants of Krishna, servants of the Guru, and then Guru connects us through Krishna. So therefore, the importance of the lotus feet is very important, because our position is at the dust of the lotus feet. We aspire to become a particle of the dust that touches the lotus feet of Krishna. What to talk about Krishna's face? Yes, we admire each and every limb of Krishna because they are non-different, but our position as a sadhaka is that we have to always aspire to get the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna on our head, and that way we can progress. Hope that helps, Mat.
Got it. Thank you so much, Mataji. Haribol.
Thank you, Haribol. Okay, any other further question?
Aparna,
What were the results of the topmost sacrifice? Please share that once more. I missed out the third one. Sure. Okay.
Krishna, may I ask a quick question?
Yes, please go ahead. In the meantime, I'll answer Aparna Mataji's question. Please go ahead.
Mataji, why we need to please the Lord Krishna? Why he asks us to please him?
Because he's the Supreme Lord, right? I'll give you the example. Wait. Suppose why we have to please only Krishna. 1 minute. 1 minute. I'll answer your question. So first you said that what is the result of the topmost sacrifice? So the topmost sacrifice result is, first is no bewilderment. You can write it down. Next is it destroy all sinful reactions. And third is it bestows pure vision. So that is the three results of performing the topmost sacrifice. Okay, now we come to your question. Sorry, Mataji, I was a little distracted to answer her question. Yes, so why Krishna says that you have to please me? Because Krishna is the topmost. I'll give you an example. If you want any of the plant to flourish properly, what will you do? Will you water the leaves, the stems, the twigs, the flowers, the fruits in order to that plant or tree to nourish properly? No. What are you going to do? You'll water the roots. When you water the roots, then definitely through the roots, the whole plant will be nourished, because through the roots, the water will be transmitted to every part, every limb of that plant. Another example, if I want myself to be nourished properly, what will I do? Now I have hands, I have mouth. Now my hand says, let me squeeze this food in and let me not put it in the mouth. Why? I am doing all the hard work. Why should I feed the mouth? Then what will happen? Will my body will ever get nourished? No matter how much I squeeze the food in my hand, the whole body will never nourish, right? But the moment these hands are utilized for taking the food, putting in my mouth, and through mouth it goes into stomach, when the stomach is satisfied, through that stomach the energy is being transmitted to each and every limb of my body, so that my whole body will be nourished. So similarly, Krishna says, I am that root, I am that stomach of your body. So please me, do the service towards me, and everything will be taken care of. You don't have to water every other limb of that plant, every other part of that plant. You don't have to water it separately. Just water the roots and the whole plant will be nourished. Just please Krishna and everything else will be taken care of. Hope that helps, Mataji.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. If we consider other gods as demi form of Lord Krishna, then Krishna is also one form of Lord Vishnu. Does he also incarnated to perform a task given by Vishnu? Well, this is another misconception, because Krishna is not avatar. He is not incarnation. He is avatari. Through him, all the other incarnations come. So Krishna, it's a little technical, but if it benefits you, I'll just tell you, but I'll tell you in a very short, because this answer itself is a big class. So I'll tell you in a very short and interest of time. So from Krishna comes Balaram, and from Balaram, and from the right side of Krishna comes Balaram, that takes all the spiritual strength. And then we have the pleasure potency that comes from the left side of Krishna, that is Srimati Radharani. So when Balaram, he expands himself into Chaturvyas, right? We have Vasudev, we have Pradyumna, we have Aniruddha, and we have Sankarshana. Through Sankarshana come Narayan. Through Sankarshana come Narayan, and then from Narayan comes another 4 Chaturyugas, that is Mahasankarshan, Maha-Anirudh, Maha-Pradyumna, and Maha-Vasudev, right? And through Mahasankarshan, he expands into 3 Vishnus through Purushavatas, which is Karnodakshai Vishnu, Shirodakshai Vishnu, and Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So it's not that Vishnu is expanding himself, Krishna, rather it's other way. It's Krishna who comes as Vishnu. So yes, there is no difference in one sense. There is no difference between Krishna and Vishnu. But Vishnu is just like, I'll give you an example. There's a person who is a high court judge, right? So when he is in his office, he has some rules and regulations. People obey him, people respect him, and he has some position to hold on, right? But when the same high court judge come to his home, then he is with his wife, he is with his son, he is with his grandson, he is with his family. And the same high court judge, he will not have that same respect that he's getting in the office. But there might be that his grandson may be riding on the back of that high court judge. He may serve as a horse for his grandson. So see, that loving relationship is there with Krishna. So in one sense, Vishnu and Krishna are same. Krishna is just Krishna in his home, and the same Krishna when he's office, he is Vishnu. So Krishna is not what you call that he has taken any avatar. It's Vishnu, through Vishnu that, it comes. So we have to understand that Krishna is avatari. He is not avatar. Rather, Vishnu is actually the avatar who comes from Krishna. Hope that helps. What does it mean by work for Krishna? Work for Krishna means something that pleases to Krishna. You do it for Krishna. Like I gave the example that Arjuna was also fighting, Duryodhana was also fighting. They both were indulged in the same activity. But the consciousness of Duryodhana was that he was fighting for himself. He was fighting because he wants to gain the kingdom. But Arjuna was not fighting because he wants to gain something, but he was fighting because Krishna wants him to fight. So we have to work for Krishna. If Krishna has sent me in this world, if I've been sent in this world and I have been given certain responsibilities, then I have to fulfill those responsibilities, keeping Krishna in the center. If I'm a mother, then I have to take care of my children as if they are devotee of Krishna. I have been given the responsibility. These children are not my children, but Krishna has given me the responsibility to take care of these children. So I'll do it, and at the same time, I'll please Krishna. If I serve my husband, then I'm doing it because he is a devotee of Krishna and it's my responsibility to serve him. And of course, vice versa. Husband has this mentality, should have this mentality that wife is not my property, right? She is a devotee of Krishna, so let me serve my wife in a proper way. So this is how we do so-called activities, which may look like the same activity which another person does, but the consciousness in which we carry out that activity, it matters a lot. The same person may be doing 9-to-5 job, but he's waiting for that paycheck so that he can utilize in all his recreation work. But the devotee is also waiting for that paycheck because he wants to utilize the same money for Krishna's service. So do all your work, but keep Krishna in the center. Everything can be carried out keeping Krishna in the center, and that's what it's working for Krishna. And that is what is karma, which will not have any bondage, will not have any reactions to it, because now we are throwing everything on Krishna, right? We are doing because Krishna wants me to do. Okay, I hope that answers your question. But people say Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva as root of universe. Yeah, that's what I answered, right? In that slide, that this is the misconception of polytheism. So we are not polytheistic. We don't have that. We are one God, only one God, and that is Krishna. Through Krishna comes everything. Even Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, it comes through Krishna. It's doubt in my mind from years. Okay, yeah, this I hope that answers. Yeah, it comes only from Krishna. And if you want, because in interest of time, I just gave you a little thing about it. If you want, you can approach me personally, and we can talk in detail and we can clear out this doubt where they say that Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, they are all one and they are the root of this entire, this universe. That's the misconception that we all are carrying generations after generations. And it has been refuted by Krishna in this chapter. How can we approach you directly? Okay, I'm sharing my number. This is a US number, but you can also WhatsApp me or you can message me, whatever you feel like. So I'm sharing my number. You can approach me whenever you have any doubt or any questions. I'll be more than happy to assist you. So you can note down my number. You can WhatsApp me, you can call me, you can message
Mataji,
me.
is it
Yes.
+91 or +1, Mataji?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you did +91, so I thought.
I wrote my, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Prabhu, for correcting. It's +1 919 888 9241. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Jayesh Prabhu. So this
Sure,
is my
sure, Mataji.
number. Approach me. Okay, anything else? Have I missed any question in the chat? Okay. Okay, any further questions?
Anyone wants to unmute and ask questions, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji. If there is time, I have one question.
Oh, yes, please go ahead. This is
Thank you,
Lakshmi
Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful class, Mataji. And my question is regarding the four bona fide sampradaya. Is there any information, Mataji, like how did Krishna select these four personalities to give this sampradaya, this divine knowledge?
Okay, I have a reference. I have not quoted because in interest of time, I thought that it's not that relevant, but it's a sampradaya. It comes from Padma Puran. I can quote the verse. Sampradaya vina ye mantras te nishmala mahata. Actually, I'll just read the translation. That any mantra that doesn't come in disciplic succession is considered to be useless. Therefore, four divine individuals will appear in this age of Kali. So this is from directly Padma Puran, where it says that the four divine individuals will appear in the age of Kali to found disciplic schools. The founders of these four Vaishnava Sampradayas are Lakshmi, Brahma, Rudra, and Sanaka Rishi. That means the four Kumaras, and their teachings will be spread all over the world. So this is directly from Padma Purana, and I have just read the translation, but there is a Sanskrit verse to it.
Okay,
And then
Mataji.
who all will be the acharyas is also given. Ramanujam Shri Swi Chakre, Madhvacharyam Chaturmukha, Shri Vishnu Swamin Rudro, Nibhaditam Chatushnaha. So it says that Ramanujarya will be chosen by goddess Lakshmi to present her sampradaya. Madhvacharya was chosen by the Chaturmukha, that is the four-headed Brahma. And then Vishnu Swami was chosen by Rudra. And the Nimbakarcharya was chosen by the four Kumaras. So these are all the reference which is directly from Padma Puran.
Okay, Mataji. So that is helpful. We can refer in Padma Purana. Mataji, and second question regarding the disciplic succession was broken. So like why it was broken, like when, and is there any information about that?
Yeah, because it says, right, Chatur Varnam Maya Srishtam. No, sorry. What is that word? I'm forgetting. Yeah, it gets broken, right? Why it gets broken is because the knowledge is lost. It says, Krishna says, right? What is, let me come to that verse. Krishna says, right?
Is it Evam Parampara Prapta Mataji?
Yeah, Evam Parampara Prapta. Thank you, Indulekha Mataji. Where Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarisho vidu sakalena mahata. So Krishna himself is saying that during this period of time, it will get annihilated. Now, for example, our dear Srila Prabhupada, he also came, right? And he told right in the beginning that this ISKCON is going to flourish for next 10,000 years. And after that, when the effect of Kali Yuga will grow more, then what will happen? Eventually, people will lose the track of chanting Hare Krishna. Similarly, when Mahaprabhu came, he also basically propounded this philosophy of chanting Hare Krishna throughout India, right? Throughout India, he did it. But then later, when Mahaprabhu, winded up his pastimes, so there were some people in Bengal who this philosophy of chanting Hare Krishna and his teachings were practically lost. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our acharya, has to come in and he, reestablished all the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So that's the property of a kal. That's a quality of a kal, time, that because of time, the knowledge eventually gets, diminished. And then it has to be reestablished. Hope, Lakshmi Mataji, that helps.
Yes, Mataji. So on the duration of time. So that may be the reason why these misconceptions are there. The misconceptions that you pointed out. Like polytheism.
Yeah, it comes up because the knowledge, actual knowledge, the accurate understanding gets lost. So Krishna says that I appear millennium after millennium to establish this dharma.
Yes, and to clarify, to take away all the misconception. Mataji, while you're saying the result of the topmost sacrifice, no bewilderment is okay, all sinful reaction is okay. The third point, Mataji, when you say pure vision, what do you mean by that? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
the pure vision of our eternal dharma, the pure vision of my eternal dharma, that I am the servant of Lord Shri Krishna. I am not this body, I am the soul. This right understanding, coming up to this pure vision, is what is the effect of chanting. When we chant, when we read books, we come to know how insignificant I am. I am not the doer. When we come to this right understanding, we'll get the pure vision to understand that who am I, who is Krishna, what is my relationship with the Supreme Lord, and how I can establish or condense that relationship. What activity should I do that that relationship can be established properly? So this is what is pure vision, the right understanding that comes through all these performing these topmost sacrifices.
Okay, Mataji, that is very clear, because when you say pure vision, sometimes we think it is like we understand everything in a right manner or something. The term, pure vision, it was little confusing, but now it is clear that we have to know our Sanatan Dharma. Thank you, Mataji. It was a very wonderful class. Really appreciate your service, Mataji. Jai Sachinandana. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is current sun god still Vivaswan? Or another now, Vivaswan, Jayesh Prabhu. Yes, Vivaswan is the sun god, and his son is Vaivashvata Manu, which is the seventh Manu, which is prevailing right now, in which we are in. We are in the seventh Manvantara, whose Manu is Vaivashvata Manu, who is the son of Vivaswan, who is sun god. Yes.
Ji, ji, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, Koti Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Srila Thakurnath Ki Jai. Mataji, thank you very much. No words how sincerely you are serving us, whether it's Sisi Bhagavad Gita, whether it's Sisi Bhagavatam, Sisi Chaitanya Charanamut. Maybe 8 or 9 hours every day you are studying and serving all of us. Please pray for us that whatever we learn from you, we will share in a Gujarati and Hindi language in our Vaishnav Samaj. Hari Hari Gauranga. Special mercy of Achet Bhakti Charu Maharaj and your hard work, Mataji. Koti Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. Please forgive me, today I am late because Siva lost all the passport and all his documents, so we are little busy. Please forgive me.
So sorry to hear that, Mataji, and I pray that she recovers everything well and you may be able to find everything. But thank you for still being on the call in spite of such a anxiety in your mind, but still you preferred to hear Bhagavad Gita. So glories to you, Mataji, and thank you for keeping me in your prayers. Hare Krishna.
The airport committee will cancel everything, and it's all in 2 days, Mataji. Don't worry. Please forgive me. Able to attend class. Here
Definitely.
Recording class. Koti Dandavat Pranam.
Shalini Mataji is saying that it was her first class and she learned a lot. I'm so happy. Congratulations, Shalini Mataji, that you developed this little faith, little interest in hearing Bhagavad Gita. So yes, it's every Tuesday and we are doing it 18 chapters in 18 weeks. And today was the 4th chapter. So you didn't miss a lot. You can catch up with the recordings. And please join us, because that's really going to help, you and me and everybody, will be benefit out of this. So thank you for your association, Shalini Mataji. Okay, anything else? Okay, if not, it's already, we have crossed 1.5 hours.
Thank you.
Yes?
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So we'll stop here.
Thank you all so much for joining.
And very nice.
Thank you, Kamadaki Mataji. Thank you, Avinash Prabhu.
Anyone who has missed the classes can access the recordings if you're still on the WhatsApp group, or if you want to be added to the WhatsApp group, let one of us know. Recordings are also available both on YouTube and Facebook. So if you can text me or Shalini, if you
I can share the link here, Mataji.
Yeah, she will share the link, and you can just click on the link and join the WhatsApp group, and then the recordings will be re-forwarded again. You can catch up with chapters 1 and 2 and 3. Yeah, this is the 4th chapter. So we'll meet again next week with chapter 5, facilitated by Indu Mataji. So please join and please continue to hold on to your sankalpa of attending all the sessions. Kirtida Mataji, fantastic session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Shalini Mataji, if it's possible for you to get added to the WhatsApp group, or either you can ping me. You have my number now. So I'll add you to that group. Okay, so we'll stop here. Vancha kalpatarubhasya
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः
Grantraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura
Jai.
Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
सुंदरी माता जी की जय
Jai. Shalini Mataji, could you please click on that link, Mataji?
Sure.
थैंक यू माता जी हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.
Hare